The sea was calm when they left. Not silent, not threatening, just calm in the way that makes sailors trust it a little too much. The horizon was clean, the sky open, and the ship moved forward with the quiet confidence of something that had done this journey many times before. None of the men on board believed that this voyage would be remembered. It was meant to be ordinary. And that is often how the worst stories begin. The ship was small, but capable, built for work, not comfort. The crew knew each other well enough to share jokes, routines, and silence without discomfort. They trusted the vessel, trusted their experience, and trusted that the sea, while dangerous, followed certain rules. What they did not know was that the ocean does not break rules. It simply ignores expectations. The failure came suddenly, a combination of bad weather and mechanical damage turned manageable problems into a crisis within minutes. Water found its way inside the hull. Faster than pumps could remove it, the ship began to list. Orders were shouted, then lost in wind and confusion. There was no time for fear, only action. When the lifeboat hit the water, it felt unreal. The ship that had been their entire world for days vanished behind them, slowly at first, then all at once. One moment it was there, the next it was gone, swallowed without drama. What remained were a few men, a small boat, limited supplies, and an ocean that stretched endlessly in every direction. At first, optimism survived. Distress signals had been sent. Shipping routes were nearby. Rescue, they believed, was a matter of time, hours, perhaps a day or two. They organized what little they had. Water was counted. Food was divided. The sun passed overhead, and the night came without incident. The second day passed, then the third. By the end of the first week, hope had changed shape. It was still present, but no longer loud. The sun became relentless, burning skin raw during the day, and leaving bodies shaking in cold darkness at night. The salt in the air dried their lips until they cracked and bled. Every movement cost energy they could not replace. Water became the center of existence. Each man was allowed only a mouthful at certain intervals. They learned to hold it in their mouths, letting the sensation last as long as possible before swallowing. Rain became salvation. When clouds gathered, they prepared with quiet urgency, spreading fabric, opening containers, catching every drop as if it were gold. Food disappeared quickly when the rations were gone. Hunger became constant, dull at first, then sharp. Fish were caught using improvised lines and hooks made from scraps of metal. Eating raw fish was unpleasant, sometimes dangerous, but necessary. Birds that landed on the boat did not leave. Survival removed hesitation and replaced it with instinct. Time stopped behaving normally. Days blended together. The horizon never changed. The same blue, the same movement. The same sound of water against wood. Without landmarks, the mind struggled to understand progress. Were they moving toward land or away from it? No one could say. The body began to fail in small ways first. Cuts refused to heal. Gums swelled and bled. Muscles weakened. The skin peeled and blistered. Sleep came in short, restless fragments. Dreams became vivid and cruel, filled with images of food, shade, and fresh water. The mind suffered more than the body. Silence grew heavy. Conversations slowed until they nearly stopped. Men stared at the water for hours, lost in thought or in nothing at all. Hallucinations began quietly. A line on the horizon that looked like land, the sound of voices. Carried by the wind, the smell of cooked food that vanished as soon as it was noticed. Despair was the most dangerous enemy. It whispered that rescue would never come, that effort was pointless, the rest would be easier. Some men fought it by talking, by remembering their lives before the sea. Others withdrew inward, conserving energy. Holding on in silence, routine became survival. Even meaningless tasks gave structure to the day. Checking lines, adjusting position, cleaning wounds with salt water despite the pain, watching the sky, naming the days, even when the names felt empty. Storms tested them further. Waves crashed over the sides of the lifeboat, soaking everything they owned. The boat rose and fell violently, threatening to flip. During storms, there was no thanking, only holding on. Hands gripped wood until they went numb. When the storm passed, exhaustion followed, heavier than before. Not everyone survived. Death came quietly, without drama. A man would grow weaker, speak less, then stop responding. There was no strength left for grief. The body was returned to the sea, the only grave available. Words were spoken softly, promises made to remember. Each loss reduced not only their number, but their hope. The weeks continued. Bodies became thin, almost unrecognizable. Eyes sank deep into faces. Movements slowed. The sun rose and fell, indifferent. Rescue was no longer expected, only imagined. And yet, something remained. A refusal to stop. It was not courage in the heroic sense. It was stubbornness. A simple decision repeated every morning. To stay awake, to drink when allowed, to fish when possible, to survive one more day. Survival was no longer about returning home. It was about not dying today. On the 76th day, when strength was nearly gone and expectations were empty, a shape appeared on the horizon. At first, no one spoke. They had seen too many false visions. But this shape moved differently. It grew larger. It held its form, a ship. When the rescuers reached them, the men were barely alive. Their voices were weak, their bodies fragile. Water was given slowly, carefully. Food followed in small portions. Some hovered near death even after rescue. Their systems pushed beyond limits. But they lived. The world heard their story with fascination. Doctors studied them. Newspapers reported the numbers. 76 days. Lost at sea. Survival against impossible odds. For the survivors, the story did not end with rescue. The ocean followed them into sleep. Waves appeared in dreams. Hunger never felt the same. Water was never wasted again. They had learned something permanent, that life can be reduced to almost nothing and still continue, that the human body breaks slowly, and that the human will, once stripped of everything else, can remain. The ocean continues as it always has, vast, silent, indifferent. But for those men, it was never just water again. It was the place where they refused to die.